Everybody doing today? This is Antonio Moore coming to you from Tone Talks. I'm here today to talk to you about a news story that we just have seen go viral today, which is 3 black teenagers versus 3 white teenagers, and how Google search presents those searches and images. When you look up 3 black teenagers, what this viral story I'm gonna pull up in a second shows is that 3 black teenagers brought up nothing but mugshots and black men incarcerated primarily. And whereas with 3 white teenagers, it brought up tons and tons of images of them basically bicycling, happy, having fun. I'm going to bring the video up of what we saw with the Google search just so everybody can get, acclimated if they hadn't seen the story or seen the video. Watch it right now.
Google pops up. Inmate. Now let's just change the color right quick.
Man.
What the?
Now my background is that I'm an attorney, here in Los Angeles. I represent people criminally, and also I have written one of the premier pieces. If you were to go to Google and type in black male incarceration, my piece will come up first. It's called "The Black Male Incarceration Problem is Real and It's Catastrophic." Over 1 million people have read it on Huffington Post. And what I show in this piece is the consequence of the numbers that we have right now. Because I think that to sit back and blame Google for the reality of our incarceration problem is just short-sighted. Right now in America today, we have an issue where black men have been over incarcerated, plainly. When you look at the data, we just don't have enough people, and the kind of crimes we've done have been over penalized compared to everyone else, to the point where Google's data will represent that. It will show that because it's what actually is the case. We just take more mugshots. Is it fair? No. But is it accurate? Yeah. Today in America, what I show in this piece, and I'm going to pull up this chart, and I've done it for you guys before, is that there are only 21 million African American males. That's counting babies and old men. So if you looked at working age, there's 12 million. But we're over 800,000 of the incarcerated. To give you context in this chart, what I'm showing you right now is that if you were to look at the number of black men that are incarcerated, and you were to compare it to 9 countries that represent over 2 billion people, those 9 countries together only have 750,000 people incarcerated. So there are more black men incarcerated, just African American men, than all 9 of these countries. And I think that what we don't deal with is that this isn't just a sitting number either. This is a rolling number. So what I mean by that is it's not just a set 800,000 out of the 21 million. It really affects probably about a third of the group. No other group in the history of the world has ever dealt with those kind of incarceration realities. And the reality of what you're seeing with Google is the extended consequence of that. The reality that you look like a criminal if you're a black male. And you can say, well, doesn't everybody or don't other people have to deal with this too? No, what Google is telling you is they don't. They don't. Kind of what I wanted to show you in this video is something I share with young black males all the time. I share with people often is that, no, Google is just showing you data. So what I did was I actually did Google image searches on different kinds of names. And I'm going to show you what these kind of names actually bring up. And what it will show you unequivocally is that when you type in a black male name that isn't a celebrity, what it brings up is mugshots. But when you type in anybody else's name, from black women all the way up to white men, it brings up just ordinary pictures. Because the reality of mass incarceration is it has taken a group that came out of slavery and basically compartmentalized their image inside of incarceration because they went to jail at such a high rate. When I say such a high rate, one of the highest incarceration rates that we ever saw was during South African apartheid. During South African apartheid, young African men were incarcerated at a rate of about 851 per 100,000. That's one of the highest recorded incarceration rates in modern history. Today, young African American men, when I say young, I'm saying 19 to 40, are incarcerated at a rate of 10,000 per 100,000. And that's just the ones that are in. If you add probation, it's 20,000 per 100,000. Just about. You basically have an underclass created out of black men that is covered up by what I've called the decadent veil of black celebrity, boxing, football, basketball, things of the sort. So people don't understand nobody else lives this way. Just African American men. And the attenuated consequences on the African American family are ripples in the wave. So I guess coming back to it, what I wanted to do here was to kind of just show you some of the names and then show you what the Google search brings up so you can get clear. And so here what you see with these names is that if you pull up, say, for instance, I'm going to start with white women. Let's pull up Sophia Handler. Sophia. Sophia Handler. When you pull up Sophia Handler and go to images and click up images, what you get is this plethora of happy, normal, lifelike images. I mean, you get images of young women doing normal things. Young white women doing normal things. If you were to pull up Ashley Weinstein, much of the same. No mugshots. Just normal everyday life. At the park, at a movie. Basically normal pictures. Elizabeth Baker, a third name, randomly chosen. You see that as well. If you switch over to white men and you pull up Samuel Bush, you get normal everyday life activities. You pull up Jesse Goldberg, regular images, no mugshots. And it's a trip because when you switch over and you start to really look at it as for African American men, it's just not the same. And that's what Google image was picking up. It's picking up the reality that incarceration happened in this country. We really didn't deal with it. Just letting people out of prison doesn't deal with the fact that you did this to a group that in large part came out of slavery relatively recently. And so when we look at names like Devontae Harris, and we do an image search, what do we see? We see a string of mugshots. Out of every other, if not out of every 10, 6 to 7 of the pictures will be mugshots. If you look at Jamal Jackson, you see the same thing. I'm pulling it up for you just so you can see for yourself. And you can take many names and do this. If it isn't a celebrity, then you'll get mugshots when it's a black male name. You might get some random other pictures, but it won't be everyday normal life type events like you see for other groups. And that is it's not just unfair. It's a travesty. It's a travesty that here we stand 50 years removed, 40 years removed from Jim Crow, 100 years removed from slavery, and African American men are living in this existence and don't even know it. So, and then if you pull up Tyrone Robinson, let's just pull up one more just so we can kind of see it. Lay it out. Mugshots. Strings of mugshots. Because mass incarceration, it didn't just deal with people who actually went to prison. That's 800,000 that were proven guilty. It dealt with people who were arrested and got mugshotted. And so, when you swing over even, and I did one example for African American women, which is Lakeisha Adams, just to show it's also true with African American women. Because the reality is we really don't understand. This is not a black issue. It's not even a black male issue primarily. It's a young black male issue. And so what you see is that when you really know the numbers about incarceration, America has 2 million prisoners, but almost 800,000 to 1 million are African American males, with another 1 million on probation. But when you look at women, America has over, I think the number is half of the country, almost 180 million people are women, but only 190,000 women are in prison in the whole country. In the whole country. For white women, there's like a total of, I believe, based on my article, what I had from the DOJ, just about 60,000 white women in prison. 60,000. I mean, contextualizing the reality that there's a mere 60,000 white women in prison, but there's almost 85 million white women. It's just insane when you look at black men and there's only 20 million black men, and almost like 800,000 are in prison, another million are in probation, and it's a rolling group. And I just think that, you know, when we start to deal with the consequence of this, we got to stop being short-sighted and looking at these videos and then blaming like just the outcome. And the outcome is wrong. Part of what we got to really understand is that Google changing what comes up in the image search doesn't change the fact that the African American families have been destroyed by mass incarceration and are being destroyed. Nor does it change the fact that African American men live a underclass existence that they don't even know, where they look like criminals. And that's all Google is telling you. So the question then becomes, how do we really demand change? And my purpose in this video was to give context to say, search your name. Find out how many mugshots are under your name. Get a little frustrated. And demand change from your politicians, demand change from yourself, and demand change from your community. So again, this is Antonio Moore coming to you from Tone Talks.